everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Allie, and today I wanted to do a video that I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I saw a Jessica Braun's video that was like makeup that I would own if YouTube didn't exist, which got me to thinking. And as I was pulling products, I thought, you know what, instead of doing a makeup products that I would have if YouTube didn't exist, I wanted to do a makeup collection that I would have if YouTube didn't exist. And if I spend too much time talking about this stuff, the video is going to be 10 years long, so I'm going to try to go through it as quickly as possible. So in order to do that, I wanted to tell you kind of about my makeup preferences prior to, watching YouTube videos. And for me, my makeup preferences used to be, first of all, if things were affordable. Second of all, if there were like multi-use products. I enjoyed palettes that I could use for a variety of different things. I also didn't mind having multiple eyeshadow palettes, like a matte eyeshadow palette and a shimmer eyeshadow palette. I was kind of into that because, I don't know, for some reason, like when I would look at palettes, I wouldn't be inspired by ones that had an array of them because I would want a multitude of like shimmers to go with a neutral matte palette. That was just my personal preference. So you're going to see a lot of things that are really, really affordable. So yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm not going to dilly-dally. I think there's a couple things that I packed up because I am traveling today. So if I don't have it on me, I'm going to mention it. But I'm going to start in the order that I put on my makeup. Okay, so I wanted to start with primer. That's pretty much the first thing I always put on my skin. And I don't have the primer with me, again, because I'm traveling. The primer that I would definitely have if I didn't watch YouTube videos would be the First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer. That's one that I bought before I ever saw anyone use it on YouTube, and then I did see Jamie Page Beauty use it. I'm very into moisturizers as primers. Before I ever use primer, I always apply my moisturizer right before I put on my makeup because I liked the way that that looked. So for me, that would have been a product that I would have been really attracted to, and I never cared to spend a little bit more money on moisturizers. So that would have been one that I definitely would have ended up buying whether I watched YouTube videos or not. The next is concealer, which again, I don't have with me. I think I packed it. And the ones that I would have definitely went for would have been the Makeup Revolution concealers, which I know those are really hyped up on YouTube, but that would have been something if I would have walked into an Ulta. I liked full coverage concealers that were pretty blendable, and I also love drugstore concealers. So I always had a tendency when I did go into Ulta before I watched YouTube videos to pick up whatever was new in concealer ranges because I grew up with acne, so I always had issues with concealing things, so I was always willing to try things. So I really do believe that that would have been a product that I would have had whether I watched YouTube or not. So finally, something I can show you. The first thing, and I actually did have this way before YouTube started, something to set eyeshadow. I would have had the Wet n Wild Creme Brulee eyeshadow. This is not opening. Oh. First of all, this is sold at the dollar store. This is where I bought this one. So again, back when I wasn't watching YouTube videos, things had to be cheap. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on certain products because I just didn't feel like they were worth it. And this would have been something that I never would have spent a lot of money on. So I've always liked this, which is why I included it. But the palette I included also has that shade that sets. So I'll mention that as well. This palette is no longer available. I'm hoping that eventually it becomes available because there was such an uproar about it. This was hyped up on YouTube, but this would have been something that I would have liked because it's basically just like a neutral brown palette. It's the Tarte Clay Play palette. And like I said, I really like palettes that are multi-use. So these have the shadows, but they also have contour shades and bronzing shades. And I would have loved that back when I wasn't watching YouTube videos because I always wanted something that I could use for a multitude of things. So yeah, and I never mind paying a little bit more for matte eyeshadow palettes. For shimmer palettes, on the other hand, I did kind of care about the price of it, and I've always loved Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes. I have 3 right here in front of me. I have the Comfort Zone palette, which is one of my favorites, and then I also have the Walking on Eggshells trio. Again, I owned these prior to watching YouTube videos because they're inexpensive, but they also pack a punch. So I don't mind having a more expensive matte palette, but for something like shimmer shades, Wet n Wild has always been my go-to. One more palette that I only wanted to mention because I did want it prior to watching YouTube videos. I'd wanted it for so long and I finally got it for Christmas, It's the Too Faced Peanut Butter and Jelly palette. And another thing that I was always attracted to before I watched YouTube videos was cute packaging and also food related items, which I know sounds really stupid, but I've always loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and seeing this I was so excited. I just never bought it because I couldn't justify the price. But this would have been something I owned eventually just because I loved the colors and I just loved the whole premise behind it. So I wanted to include that just to give you kind of an insight of the type of makeup I would have purchased prior to watching YouTube. The next item is a foundation, and this one was kind of hard to pick because a lot of the foundations that I actually do really like I discovered through YouTube. So I wanted to pick, number one, an affordable foundation because it would have had to be affordable. One that matches my preference. My bronzer is not blended on my head. One that would have had to match my preferences, you know, prior to watching YouTube videos again. And also something that was cheap and that I hadn't seen before. So this brand and this range of foundation I don't like recommending just because I feel like they do their customers a disservice because they don't have a wide range of shades. Hold on, I don't like this camera angle. I'm always adjusting the camera angle. So it's the Essence Fresh Fit Awake Makeup. I saw this online, you know, I was watching YouTube videos at the time because obviously this just came out and no one had talked about this yet when I went out and purchased it. I love anytime a makeup says fresh, awake, healthy, things like that. I'm immediately attracted to it. So I knew that this would be a foundation that I would thoroughly enjoy. The only thing I don't like is that Essence just doesn't have a wide variety of shades. But this would have been something I liked, and it's also like $6, and I never would have paid more than that for a foundation prior to watching YouTube videos. And I really only have like 3 high-end foundations currently, so that tells you a lot. I already told you about concealers. The next product is powder. Generally, drugstore powders would be something that I would be more likely to go towards, but I wanted to pick all cruelty-free products in this case because obviously I'm trying not to buy non-cruelty-free makeup products. So the only one that I had that was cruelty-free, but also one that no one talks about on YouTube, is the Too Faced Primed and Poreless powder, and this is one of my all-time favorite powders of all time. Oh, I don't know if this would work on a variety of skin tones because it does say it's translucent, but then when you swatch it, you can obviously see. I just don't know, but it sets my makeup beautifully. It makes me look poreless, which obviously it says primed and poreless in the title. That's exactly what this gives you. I can use it on my under eyes. I can use it on my T-zone. I can use it on everything. This is my 3rd one, and when I run out of this one, I will definitely go buy another one. I hope they never discontinue this because I love this powder so much, but I just had to mention it because it's the only powder I have that's cruelty-free that I genuinely love. I love it so much. The only one that would come close, but I wouldn't have bought it if I hadn't watched YouTube videos, is the Cover FX powder. But this one, I've never seen anyone on YouTube talk about. Okay, next I'm going to talk about bronzers. Bronzers was another thing. It had to be cheap. I wasn't going to pay more than a few dollars for a bronzer. The one that I have right now that I'm really loving, and again, it wasn't talked about on YouTube before I bought it, was the Essence Luminous Matte Bronzing Powder for lighter skin. And I just love this bronzer. I was watching the Taylor and she mentioned it being orange on her skin. It doesn't show up as orange on me. I do have to build this up quite a lot because it almost looks like a face powder on me right now. But I do have to build it up a lot, but once I build it up, I really do enjoy the way it looks. And Luminous Matte is the perfect way to describe it because it's not matte, but it's not shimmery or anything like that. But it's matte in the sense that it gives you like a glow to the skin, a really healthy glow. So I definitely would have been attracted to this back when I didn't watch YouTube videos. I have 2 face palettes to talk about, one of them high-end and one of them drugstore. Again, this is one that has now been talked about on YouTube, but was recommended to me way before I saw it on YouTube. And I thought about the ways that I would buy makeup prior to watching YouTube videos, and it would be friend recommendations, or I would always go to Ulta and ask what they recommended, always. This was a recommendation from one of the Ulta associates, and this is actually I have 2 other highlighters, but this is a palette. It's an all-inclusive one. It's the Tarteist Pro Glow palette. This was right around the time everyone was going on that trip for Tarte, and I couldn't watch the videos because I just couldn't take them seriously. I didn't honestly believe that anyone liked this palette because obviously they were paid to go on a trip for the launch of this. and you barely see anyone using this now except for me, because I love it. I love the highlight shades. I obviously love that cream contour, and I also use that powder contour. This is just, in my opinion, the best face palette that has come out in a long time. This contour shade can't really work for a variety of skin tones, but this one can, and these highlighters can be used on pretty much anyone. I love this so much. I'll definitely repurchase it if I run out of anything else in the palette, because I can't live without it. And like I said, I bought it before people were talking about it, and I could have seen myself buying this before I was watching YouTube videos. The other face palette I have is from e.l.f. e.l.f. was a brand that I loved before I watched YouTube videos because it was inexpensive. And this one is the Total Face Palette. And first of all, I would have loved this because it has a mirror, but this also has a variety of shades. I love those two blushes. I love that contour bronzy shade, and I really do like that highlight. It's a little bit of a more natural highlight. But this is just a great palette, and I could have seen myself being attracted to it because it's only $6 and you get so much, and I was so into that. If it was inexpensive but you got so much out of it, I loved that. For a standalone blush, I have the Milani Romantic Rose Powder Blush. I actually bought this on my honeymoon, and at that point I wasn't really watching YouTube videos very often, and I had never seen anyone talk about this prior to using it. I was just really attracted to the way it looked, and this was my only blush in my collection for a really long time. I loved this blush, and I still use it all the time. It's the perfect neutral tone blush. You can wear it with any makeup look. You can wear it like whether you're wearing bronze or whether you're wearing highlight. If you're just wearing foundation and you want something to give a little flush to the cheeks, this is the perfect blush. I've loved it since day one, and if I was back in Key West where I bought this, I would have bought it again. And I'd also never seen Milani in stores at that point, so I was really excited to see like a new brand that was pretty inexpensive. I have two highlighters. The first one is the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder, and again, I know this is hyped up on YouTube, but when it came to brands that I enjoyed back when I didn't watch YouTube videos, Wet n Wild was one that I enjoyed thoroughly, and I was always looking at their section because anything cool that they came out with I would have purchased, and this would have been something that would have definitely been on my radar just because the embossment is beautiful and the shade is beautiful, and this definitely would have been something that I would have seen. Obviously I seeked it out because people on YouTube were talking about it, but I could have seen myself, if I'd never seen a YouTube video, picking this up if I would have ran across it. Another highlight that I would have is, again, where do we get recommendations? We get recommendations from our siblings, friends, and my sister for Christmas got me the Naked Skin, it's from Urban Decay, the Urban Decay Naked Skin Highlighting Fluid, and I love this stuff. I think it's hilarious because it was one of my stocking stuffers. And I saw it and I was like, okay, like I'll try this out. I love a good liquid highlighter. And you can't really see it. I don't know if it comes up. I have it right here, and it's just this beautiful sheen. It looks so natural on the skin, and it just makes your skin look healthy. And that's the type of look that I'm always going for. I always want to look healthy, and that gives you that perfectly. I love this. And whether I watch YouTube or not, I can see my sister getting this for me, and I can see myself loving it. This is even good if you're not wearing foundation, which I don't do very often, but I have found myself on days when I need to go somewhere but I don't want to put on makeup, I'll just put that on my cheekbones, and it's so natural that you can't even tell. So I have a mascara, and what's funny about this is I've never tried this specific mascara, but I wanted to talk about the Ulta Beauty brand, because the Ulta Beauty brand is a brand that I used to use back before I watched YouTube videos because I loved their sets. They came out with all of these sets of makeup, and I used to love it because I could go in if I ran out of foundation, or if I ran out of mascara, if I ran out of whatever, and like pick up some things, those like, you know, because I think it's like spend $20, get this set for free or whatever. So I would go and spend my $20 and I would get that set for free, and I had so much makeup and I just loved it. At that point I had like a closet. It's so funny because I wasn't even watching YouTube at that point, but I had like these little bins. I actually had them over there. There's these little wire baskets, and I had makeup full in those baskets, and they were in my closet. And every morning I would go through and pick out what I wanted to wear, and I'd put it in a little makeup bag, and I'd go sit on my floor and do my makeup in my bathroom in Virginia Beach. It was like, it's just so funny to think about because at that point, like, YouTube wasn't a huge thing to me, and I was still doing that type of stuff. But anyway, This would have been a mascara I would have bought because it was in a set. It came with an Ulta set, and it just kind of brought back memories of like, of course I would have had this because I wasn't super picky about mascara anyway, but I loved the Ulta Beauty brand and I was constantly buying their products because they had those really good deals. And the people at the Ulta were so nice. And that really, you know, made me want to buy makeup. Another Ulta Beauty product is a lip liner pencil. I've always loved their lip liners. I think their lip liners are so nice. This one is in the shade Bittersweet, and this is pretty much all you need no matter what color you're using because it's a nude shade. So I definitely would have had that whether, you know, I watch YouTube or not. Another brand, it's sold at Sally Beauty, but it's a pretty inexpensive brand, is the Palladio Beauty brand. These are the Casey Holmes liquid lipsticks, which is obviously like, hello, that's a YouTuber collab. Of course you wouldn't have bought that. But these shades I would have absolutely been attracted to. I would have been attracted to the packaging because again, I was a big packaging person back then. And Palladio was a brand I liked because it was sold at Sally Beauty. It was pretty inexpensive. So this would have first, and actually at the time it was sold at Ulta back before I watched YouTube videos. So these would have definitely been something I picked up just in general based on like the aesthetic. Whether Casey Holmes had her name on it or not, I would have enjoyed it. I used to love like Palladio lipsticks and all that stuff. And lastly, these are actually products that again I bought before I started watching YouTube videos anyway, so I just thought I'd mention them. And it's the NYX Butter Glosses. These two shades I have right here are two of my favorites. This one is in the shade Cranberry Biscotti. I have Creme Brulee in my purse. It's Fortune Cookie, that's one I have in my purse. This one is called Praline. Praline is one of my favorites to wear on its own during the summertime, which it doesn't look like a summer shade at all. But Praline is that bottom one, and then Cranberry Biscotti is at the top. These glosses are just amazing. My sister recommended them to me, so of course I went out and bought them. Because where do you get your recommendations? You get them from your friends and sisters and all that stuff. They've gone before. But yeah, those glosses I absolutely love, and I used to be a huge lip gloss fan. I'm surprised I didn't include any bullet lipsticks in here. I think part of it is because okay, there was one lipstick that I can vividly remember buying, and I had never watched YouTube videos before, and it was because a sales associate at Ulta was wearing it, and it's called Mason, and it's the NYX matte lipsticks. I'll insert a picture of it. I still have it. I just don't know where it is right now, and it's in a bullet. And that would definitely be the one lipstick I would own because it took me so long to find. Like, I am not kidding you. I searched Ulta's high and low to find that lipstick. It was sold out forever. It's a beautiful like stone brown color. I actually have a picture of myself wearing it. I'll insert it one of these sides. But I loved that lipstick, and I looked so hard for it. But yeah, that completes this video. That's what my makeup collection would look like if YouTube didn't exist, or if, you know, I still wasn't watching YouTube videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!